Cammack for her 5 minutes of questioning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner Boyle, I'm going to start with you. I wanted to learn more about your time as executive director. You served at least 2 acting chairs in that capacity, correct?
Yes.
And before that, you served in 2 other senior roles, is that right?
I served as general counsel and executive director.
Okay. I think we can both agree those are senior roles.
Excuse me?
I think we can both agree
Yes.
those are senior roles. Okay, perfect, thank you. So it seems that a lot of the issues and dysfunction that we've heard about today have occurred under your leadership as executive director. And while I recognize that you were not acting chair, it makes me wonder how all of this kind of happened under your watch. So digging into it as part of a review of the 2019 data breach, the Inspector General made the following finding, quote, "The OIG found numerous examples of problems regarding integrity and ethical values in the clearinghouse. These problems involve both systematic issues and examples of individual managers failing to uphold government standards regarding integrity or ethical values. The most egregious example of a systematic ongoing failure by agency management to demonstrate a commitment to integrity and ethical values involved the statements of assurance relevant to the clearinghouse. Agency officials were grossly negligent at best and lied at worst when they signed statements of assurance indicating that internal controls regarding the clearinghouse were in place and operating effectively." So Commissioner Boyle, how do you account for the IG's characterization of agency candor? You were the executive director at that time, so what the heck was going on?
Well, thank you for the question. I think at the time of the clearinghouse disclosure, the agency was forthright in saying that there was a mistake that was made, a human error.
Or multiple?
Certainly. I think there was no question, and the agency was forthright in admitting that. There were numerous investigations, including by houses of Congress, and I think we're very forthright in admitting that there were mistakes, and we made efforts to correct those mistakes. And when there was a human error, which is really the source of the problem that you're talking about, we acted to correct those as best we could, and I certainly did the best I could under my to the best of my ability. So we instituted training, we tried to develop some technological solutions, and I understand that there was great concern, and I think we were very forthright in admitting that.
And I appreciate, taking accountability, right? But accountability means action. You said that there was technical training, but if you have people who are outright lying, I mean, my question is, who was fired?
I'm not aware that anybody was fired at that time, and there had been open recommendations for some period well after I was executive director, so I won't account for the last several years. But at that time, nobody was fired, but there was certainly training, and there was an attempt to address very openly the problems that we found, and nobody tried to say otherwise.
So no one was fired. Did anyone resign?
No.
Have the people who have been identified who lied, right, in this particular investigation, the people identified, have they remained in those positions or have they gone on to other positions?
Well, let me be clear. I understand you quoted from the Inspector General's report. I am not aware of anyone lying. I am not aware of anyone lying to me. And so I understand that that was his conclusion and how he characterized it, but I am not aware of anyone lying to me.
But I mean, you understand that this is the frustration that American people have in general. You're here before this committee asking for a bump in your budget, and yet we're finding through OIG reports where there have been instances of mischaracterizations, lying, real issues that have truly not been addressed. And I think saying, yes, we're taking responsibility, but what is the action that follows thereafter? I don't think training is enough. I mean, there has to be real accountability. So I'm curious, and as a follow-up, I'd like you to provide this committee with what has happened to those individuals that received the training, and I want to know if they've moved on into other positions. There is a saying in Washington, it's called failing up, And we tend to see that when we have problematic people, we tend to move them into other positions. So I'd be curious to see where those individuals and the roles that they played that were identified in that OIG report, I want to know where they are now. Can you provide this committee with that information?
Certainly. Again, I will make clear that they're not under my purview in my current role, and I will have to consult with the chair in terms of.
Mr. Chairman, will you provide that information to this committee?
We'll go back and take a look. Obviously, I wasn't there at the time, so I have to go back and look at the.
At some point, if you're at the top of the ticket, you're right there, you're the head honcho. Buck stops with you, right?
Understood, and I would say
you should be
that
able to
there
get that
has not been
information.
any breach of similar nature since that happened, and we've made sure that that information is protected going forward. So we can look to try and provide you information.
We don't try, we do. So yes, you will provide that information?
We'll provide the information we can find, and that's appropriate, yes.
All right. Mr. Chairman, I yield.
Agenda lady yields back. We'll recognize Mr. Cardenas from the great state of California for his 5 minutes of questioning.